The excessive dose of Impulse 9 sent her spiraling through time, and she woke up in the year 2980. The world she found herself in was a dystopian nightmare. Val was now a mother of 3, living in a crumbling house in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The streets were filled with people scavenging for survival, and the air was thick with despair. Evan was still by her side, but their lives were a far cry from the dreams they'd once shared. Val struggled to adjust, haunted by the life she'd left behind and the choices that had brought her here. In California, back in 2017, Val was a force to be reckoned with in the world of competitive gaming. Her game of choice? A fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping first-person shooter called Field of Fire. Val wasn't just good, she was legendary. Known by her gaming alias, Speedrun, she had carved out a reputation that made her a household name in gaming circles. Her ultimate dream? To win a major tournament, go pro, and make a living doing what she loved most. But life, as it often does, had other plans. One crisp morning, Val's father, Carlos, cornered her with a reminder she'd been dreading. He had pulled some strings to land her a job interview with his brother. Carlos didn't mince words. Val had been unemployed for months, and this opportunity was too important to pass up. Reluctantly, Val agreed to go, but her heart wasn't in it. Her mind was elsewhere, consumed by the upcoming Field of Fire tournament and the $10,000 prize that could change her life. Before she left, Carlos tossed her another responsibility, picking up her grandmother from a doctor's appointment. Val sighed but nodded, knowing she couldn't say no. But as soon as she stepped outside, her boyfriend, Evan, was waiting for her in his car, and Val quickly swapped her formal attire for her usual casual clothes. Evan raised an eyebrow, clearly disapproving of her decision to skip the interview for a video game tournament. But Val brushed off his concerns with a shrug. "I'll just call in sick," she said, her tone dismissive. The tournament was everything to her. The prize money wasn't just a number, it was her ticket to a future she'd been chasing for years. But Evan had bad news. Roy, the undisputed king of Field of Fire, would also be competing. Known by his gaming handle, Kilohertz, Roy was a living legend. He'd been crowned People's Choice Gamer of the Year, graced magazine covers, and had a fan base that worshipped the ground he walked on. Even the commentators were already declaring him the inevitable winner. Val's heart sank, but she wasn't ready to give up. Evan tried to ground her, reminding her that her goal wasn't to win, it was to qualify. The game began, and Val was off to a strong start. She scored the first kill, putting points on the board and earning cheers from Evan, who was her lone supporter in the crowd. But then Roy appeared, and everything changed. He moved like a phantom, stealing her kills and taunting her with every move. At one point, he even stopped playing to high-five fans or covered his eyes mid-game, showing off his insane skills. Val fought hard, refusing to back down. By the final moments of the match, she and Roy were tied. With seconds left on the clock, Val had an opponent in her sights, a clear shot that could secure her victory. But instead of taking it, she made a split-second decision to chase Roy, desperate for a glory kill that would cement her place in gaming history. It was a gamble, and it backfired. Roy's character vanished from her screen, only to reappear behind her and deliver the killing blow. Just like that, her dream was shattered. As Val walked away from the arena, her frustration boiled over. She couldn't understand how Roy had pulled off moves that seemed impossible, moves that defied human reaction times. Evan tried to console her, pointing out that she'd made it to the finals, a huge accomplishment in its own right. But Val wasn't satisfied. After a few minutes of humiliation, he strutted off to take selfies, with his adoring fans leaving Val to stew in her defeat. But the day wasn't over yet. As Evan went to fetch the car, Val was approached by a mysterious figure named Kojima. He congratulated her on her performance but delivered a sobering prediction. She'd lose again tomorrow. Kojima claimed to be a furry grandmother and handed her his business card, insisting that if she wanted to win, she'd need his help. He also confirmed Val's suspicions about Roy. There was no way he was playing fairly. "Nobody can be that good," Kojima said cryptically before disappearing into the crowd. When Val returned home, Her father was waiting. Carlos asked about the interview, and Val lied through her teeth, claiming it had gone fine. But Carlos wasn't fooled. He'd already spoken to his brother and knew she hadn't shown up. To make matters worse, she'd also skipped out on picking up her grandmother, forcing Carlos to do it himself, a move that nearly cost him his job. Furious, Carlos announced that Val would have the interview tomorrow. No excuses. Val tried to argue, pleading with him to understand how important the tournament finals were to her. It wasn't just about the money, it was her dream, but Carlos wasn't having it. Later that night, Val sat at her computer staring at a job application, but her heart wasn't in it. Instead, she found herself opening a gaming stream, her mind still fixated on Roy and the tournament. Desperate for answers, she dug out Kojima's card and decided to visit the address he'd given her. What she found was a place called the Gold Saucer, a gaming cafe that felt like a relic from another era. Kojima was there, as enigmatic as ever. He didn't bother with pleasantries, simply instructing Val to sit down and play. She chose a high difficulty, bullet hell game, and lost within seconds. Kojima then handed her a bottle of something called Impulse 9, which Val assumed was an energy drink. But when he opened it, the fizzing sound drew the attention of everyone in the room. Kojima assured her it was harmless and poured her a cup. The moment Val drank it, her world changed. Her senses sharpened, her reaction times became lightning fast, and she felt unstoppable. She played the game again and aced it without losing a single life. But the effects didn't last. Moments later, she snapped out of it, only to find that an hour had passed. Kojima explained that Impulse 9 stretched time, but the harder it stretched, the harder it snapped back. He offered to sell her a bottle for $500, her entire savings. It was cheating, plain and simple. But Kojima pointed out that Roy didn't seem to have a problem with it. Val wrestled with the decision, but ultimately gave in. The next day, she took a sip of Impulse 9 before the tournament. Time slowed to a crawl as the game began, and Val dominated her opponents with ease. But Roy was also using Impulse 9, and he quickly caught up, surpassing her score. Desperate to win, Val drank the entire bottle. Her reflexes became superhuman, and she managed to kill Roy's character, securing her victory, but the consequences were dire. The excessive dose of Impulse 9 sent her spiraling through time, and she woke up in the year 2980. The world she found herself in was a dystopian nightmare. Val was now a mother of 3, living in a crumbling house in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The streets were filled with people scavenging for survival, and the air was thick with despair. Evan was still by her side, but their lives were a far cry from the dreams they'd once shared. Val struggled to adjust, haunted by the life she'd left behind and the choices that had brought her here. As she navigated this harsh new reality, Val discovered that the apocalypse had been caused by people like her, pulsars, who had abused Impulse 9 and lost their grip on time. The president had been a pulsar, and his actions had triggered a nuclear catastrophe. Val's guilt grew as she realized the role she'd played in this grim future. But even in the face of overwhelming odds, Val found moments of connection. She bonded with her children over a game of Field of Fire, teaching them the skills that had once defined her. And when the town came under attack from a gang led by none other than Roy, Val stepped up to protect her family. Using the last of her Impulse 9, she fought with everything she had, ultimately sacrificing herself to save the people she loved. In her final moments, Val held her daughter's drawing, a simple sketch that called her a hero. It was a reminder of the person she had become, not through gaming glory, but through the love and resilience she'd found in the most unexpected of places. And as the world faded around her, Val knew she had finally found her true victory. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like.